So today is an update on RaceDay scoring version 3. It's a huge update for us. And my name's Matt Avery. If you don't know me, I'm the product manager for RaceDay at RunSignup. And my baby is RaceDay scoring, and along with all the other RaceDay apps that we have. But RaceDay scoring is my first love. So today I'm super excited to talk to you about V3. This is a huge undertaking for us, and I'm going to be walking through some of the specifics of it. Going through some of the features that we added and improvements that we made, as well as some stats on our just progress as a development team this year. And so let's go ahead and get started. One thing I will say, today I'm not going to be diving too much into the actual details of how to configure this stuff or how to set it up or all the different ways you can score with it. We do have some follow-up sessions in June that we're going to be setting up that will dive into details on how to set up specific types of scoring examples with these new features we've added. Today is going to be more of an overview. I'm going to hide my webcam. Always am distracted when I see myself on my screen. And we will get started. So thanks again for joining. And most of all, thank you, timers. I really want to express my gratitude to all the timers out there who have been with us as a part of this product from the beginning 4 years ago when we first shipped out an alpha version of this software. We've had a lot of key partners that have worked with us to help shape this product. And that's a big thing on RunSignup and RaceDay, is that our products are shaped by our users. So we want to make sure that you know that you guys help us make this product what it is. So we wouldn't be here without your input. It's helped us shape this product to be what you need it to be. And so we always encourage people to provide good feedback. It helps us a ton. And with a big community like we have, we'll be able to make this software the best in the market. So thank you. So why teams? Why did we decide that we needed to do a big update for teams? There are a few different reasons. I'm going to go through them with you now. So number one, teams that we find are an essential part of competitive and non-competitive events. They bring people together, and we think this is a critical part of the return to racing in a post-COVID world. More and more participants are looking for ways to connect with others. We want to make sure that using RaceDay scoring will allow for that type of event going forward in the future, and we're excited to see those days coming nearer and nearer and more as we go on in this post-COVID world. Second thing, RaceDay scoring has supported technically both aggregate, like standard teams, like corporate teams, that kind of thing, and relay team scoring since June of 2019. But it was a more simple implementation, had some known issues, and some key features were left out. We really got it off the ground in 2019, set up some of the infrastructure behind it, but we knew there were some shortcomings we wanted to address. Specifically, the next point, we wanted to make sure that RaceDay scoring was able to handle cross-country. And this is a big thing. You know, Race Director, the granddad of RaceDay scoring, basically, it was started as a cross-country scoring system. And so we knew we needed to implement cross-country scoring at some point. And the pandemic gave us the opportunity to really spend some time on looking at our software, seeing what we can do or what we would have to do in order to make the updates needed so that cross-country scoring can be supported in the future. So what that ended up being was essentially an entire rewrite of our scoring architecture in order to allow for cross-country scoring. So this was a huge update just because cross-country and the way that teams are scored, some of the key infrastructure points were changed for RaceDay scoring here. So this is a massive development undertaking on our part. There you go, it's a massive update, our largest yet. So I wanted to give you guys some background on our development stats year over year. So a little bit of context, in December of 2019, we released RaceDay scoring version 2. That adds some key features like corrals, direct trainer support, custom top finishers, dashboard quality of life improvements, and some more things. And in the webinar for that release, I showed off how much work our team had been putting in the past year. In the entire year of 2019, there were over 112,000 lines of code added. It's quite an accomplishment, and I was really stoked to share those numbers at the time. And to the right was a screenshot from that release session. over 112,000 lines, 1,000 commits, 31 releases. So that was all of 2019, right? 2020 changed everything for a lot of people, and that applies to our RaceDay team as well. We had resources shifted, reprioritized. We were assisting RunSignup implement their new virtual result system and RunSignup. We helped them put together their team scoring system that they used for virtual results, but we ended up using later for RaceDay as well. We implemented new features in RaceJoy to bring a better race experience to participants, even if they weren't able to attend in-person events. With things like Run Anywhere, we really improved that experience of runners, even if they can't go to an event. Give them that experience and let them have at least a taste of what it feels like to be a part of an event again. In spite of that, we were still really productive, kept on track with our 2019 numbers, as you can see. We had 112,000 lines of code added. A lot more commits, a lot more smaller updates. So what this means is we're honing this product, we're making it better and better with small updates as we go. 36 releases pushed to production in the entirety of 2020. So you know we had a hard year and we still pushed through, still got a lot of nice features added. So I'm super happy with the team. But what you'll see is in the just the V3 update, so just this team scoring branch that we introduced and started in February of 2021, there were 114,000 lines of code in just this update. So what this ends up being is almost an entire rewrite. Like how I said, it was a massive undertaking, and so I just wanted to extend a huge thank you to our developers, James, Michael, Jack, Brandon, Roger, and Chelsea, for all the hard work in this effort. It's been a long 3 months for us, and we really knocked it out of the park, we think, with this one. We made it a product that gives you way more flexibility for team scoring, new features, the ability to do cross-country scoring in a way that never has been able to be done before. We implemented a whole bunch of new RunSignup results pages, so you can have nice-looking cross-country results online through RunSignup now, and more. So I'm going to be showing you an overview of some of those features, but yeah, I just wanted to really thank the dev team on this. It was a huge effort. So let's go ahead and walk through some of these features. So I'm not going to be going into the app itself today and showing you how to set up something. We're going to be doing some more targeted sessions on that in June. But so today I'm just going to be going through the release notes, showing you the bullet points, showing you some screenshots, and just giving you a feature overview. So on our blog, we always do post up these release notes, by the way. Keep them out here for future reference. We also have some more things you can check out on like our general roadmap, what's coming up in the future, and so on and so forth. So let's get started. So again, this is a big, massive rewrite. So if you've seen this come up in your RaceDay scoring system, you see that there's an update available. We did have one major thing that had to change, and that was our database structure for team reports. So the way our team system works relies on a new database structure. So if you did have any old races that had team scoring set up and reports generated for them, unfortunately, you will have to recreate those if you wanted to rerun the reports. But it's not a problem if you had set it up. You can just go and just build new reports, no big deal. Just a good to know if you are upgrading an old race file, you will have to rebuild those team reports. We make it fairly straightforward to do that, but just a good thing to know. So first thing is we ended up rebranding from groups to teams. In the app, you'll now see more references to teams. The only places we have group is in the areas where we're talking about a RunSignup group type that was pulled down from RunSignup and set up automatically. But you set up teams, you set up team scoring rules and things like that. We found that a lot of timers didn't know to click like a button that says group options, but they would know to click a button that says team scoring. So we ended up switching that over. First major thing we did, we implemented a new RunSignup team results page. So RunSignup built this whole infrastructure for team results submissions. And the intention was to use it for virtual results, but also build it in such a way that we could use it later on for aggregate team scoring, cross-country team scoring, and so on. So this was a pretty large endeavor on the RunSignup development team. And they built something really nice that allows not only RaceDay scoring, but also Race Director to use this result system so they can post and display really nice looking team results. So what we have now is this new team results button on the individual results page if you're posting up team results using RaceDay scoring. The way it works is you have to post this specific report type called a team member list, which is like, all the people who are on teams. It's the special report and shows them in order. And then it will post up the team results along with it. So this will allow you to see things like all of the teams ranked. This is the cross-country style, but you can also do this for a non-cross-country style, like a corporate team race. It would display similarly. So we've added all these sorts of things, like you can link directly to each of the teams right from the name of the team. You can view all of the scores of the individuals, and you can also see the scores of the individuals ranked out through however many you're scoring. And if your members are over 5, if you have scoring rules set up to say you only want to count the first 5 and the next 2 displace, it would show those details in the grids here. So this is a view of if you were to click one of these links to view a team detail, it would show all of the runners on that team, their year, they're a sophomore or a junior or senior, the score that they got in the entire race. So if they were, first overall, second overall, sixth overall, whatever, their times and paces and so on. So this is a big update on the RunSignup side. We were able to implement that, and now we got some really nice looking results for all team races. We've updated a bunch of report types. So now you can see on when you're in the report builder, if you have team scoring enabled for an event and you select it to build a report with, it will give you these new options. If it's an aggregate type, so cross-country, corporate team, it will give you the option to build a team detail section, a team summary section, a team finish list, and if it's cross-country, TFers. So we do support TFers, and we'll talk about that later. So team detail displays a ranked list of teams with a detailed list of members within each team section. So if you were to select the 6A varsity girls and you clicked team detail, it would add a section of just the 6A varsity girls team detail, and it would show this when you clicked in. So you've got your teams, ranked 1, 2, 3. Each of these little green areas is a team, and then the members of each team listed right within it. And it shows their scores, which ones displaced, which ones didn't count if that were the case. If they didn't have enough people, it would say incomplete. And some more details that we added based on the configuration. So we wanted to display the average clock time. We wanted to display the tiebreaker score or whatever. You can customize this. This team summary section is, again, the second option you have here. It's just the list of teams. So, we show the top scores, 1, 2, 6, 9, 10, 19, 20 for each of the members, but we don't show all the member details here. The team finisher list is the ranked list of finishers who are members of teams. This doesn't include participants who are not assigned to a team. So if you had like a corporate style run and you wanted to post team results, you would have to post this team finisher list, even though, not all runners in this may be a part of a team. You should post this anyways. That is what allows you to see this nice new results system at RunSignup. So this is, again, just showing all the members who are a part of a team, and it's what we basically drive our team scoring off of on RunSignup. By default, this shows like the scores, the team score, the team place, all this stuff. A lot of this stuff is customizable. We build in a lot of presets and let you default in specific stuff here, but you can customize this if you like to. All right, next, TFers. So this is a special report section used to publish cross-country results online to TFers. So we've implemented this because we know that if you're doing cross-country results for college, you have to have the ability to publish results to TFers. So we've implemented this. You have to, click the TFers button and fill out a form with all the details that TFers needs on, the who the official was, the conditions, and so on and so forth. And then it will allow you to post these cross-country results to TFers. We've updated the relay team report type. This is now a lot more, it's a lot better than it used to be. The way it used to be, you'd have to manually build it. Otherwise, it would be just a list of team members. So now this is automatically generated, and it's a better format to display on RunSignup as well. So this is just a team summary, displays a ranked list of the relay teams without the members' details within it. So next, we have added a better generation cleanup of detailed or default team reports when we're saving and changing the team scoring rules and scored event settings. So when you are on a scored event, you have the at that point you can decide that you want to enable team scoring for this scored event. In there, you can say, configure the different scoring rules for each of the group types that are on this scored event. And then you can go ahead and apply those defaults to any of the types that are on there, and it will generate reports for you by automatically, so in the background. Prior to this update, we didn't really do a good job of cleaning up or making changes to existing reports that were out there. So now if you had customized some, we'll tell you, hey, you have to rebuild this report you customized and did yourself. So when you make a change that does require an update, we used to say, hey, you will rebuild these team detail reports, but you will have to go in and set up your own team summary reports or whatever it was in your notice here. So it just makes it a whole lot more clear what's going to happen when you make a change to the defaults and go ahead and save it again. This is a big one. We've added the ability for multiple events to use a single team type. This is very helpful if you have multiple events throughout the day, like cross country. You got a 9 a.m. boys JV, 10 a.m. girls JV, 11 a.m. Boys varsity, 12 p.m. girls varsity. Prior to this update, you would have to have a different team type created for each of those events. So you'd have to have Gates Child High School boys JV, Gates Child High School girls JV, so on and so forth, when they're really all just Gates Child High School. So this was a big problem with the way that we had originally designed the software, and was kind of the impetus for us having to do so many changes. So this is a big thing for us. So instead of needing to create a girls version and a boys version of the same high school, you just create one. Super helpful for aggregate team scoring. Relay team scoring, we technically do allow like a mix of members, but it doesn't work. So most people, you'll have a specific event for like the 2-person all male relay and the 2-person all female relay and the 4-person all male relay and the 4-person all female relay, because they aren't scored together. And you would never have a member from like a different group type in the same group as a member from a different group type. So we don't really allow mixing for that. We've added the ability to combine results from multiple team types into a single report. So this was really nice. In the prior version, you couldn't actually combine group types together. So let's say you had a RunSignup race that had a relay set up for registration, and they had a co-ed, all male and all female registration group type set up. And they ended up not getting anybody to register for the all male and the all female, or they only got a couple, and they decided, hey, let's just put everybody together. I don't care about their original registration selection. Let's just put them all together for scoring. Unfortunately, we couldn't support that with the prior version of RaceDay scoring. So now when you run a report, when you build a report and you add in one of these sections, these new report sections up here for a relay or for any other one, it will tell you, hey, you've got multiple team types that are available for this scored event you've selected. So in this case, I've got a cross-country event with a bunch of different levels of schools, 4A and smaller, the large and extra large. And you have the option here to say, hey, I want to combine all of these together for consideration and scoring. Or I want to say, hey, I just want the 4As in this report section. And then you could go back and say, okay, now I'm going to add another section for the 5A schools. And now I'm going to add another section for the 6A schools. So they've given you a lot more flexibility in this area to say, hey, I want to keep these sections separate or together for team scoring. And the big one, added full support for cross-country scoring displacement rules. So we did have aggregate team scoring prior to this update. You could add up, the places for team members and build out a team report before this. You could add up the times from runners for all teams, and you could build out a report. But we couldn't do displacement. We couldn't say score through 5, displaced through 7. So we have added in the ability to do that. You can say you want this done on the scored event level, or you could have it done on the team type level if, for instance, you had like an open cross-country race where you had college runners who did one way, and then masters or open runners who had a different scoring rule, 3 and 5 or something maybe. Not very common, but we did allow for that. So if you're not familiar, displacement rules allow you to say that you want to score through X number of runners, but allow Y runners to displace the team scores for the positions between X and Y. For instance, score through 5, displace through 7 means that the team score will be based on the runners 1 through 5 only, but runners 6 and 7 will count against the runners from other teams when calculating their scores. So it pushes their positions down and will make their scores higher because of that. So super excited about that, and I'll show you a screenshot down below here on that configuration. Next, we added the ability to automatically build separate aggregate team reports by gender. Super helpful if you had a single scored event where you're running a mixture of genders, but intended for the results to always be separated by gender. So sometimes you've got a small dual meet on Tuesday and they run boys and girls together, but in one time they all started at 9. But they wanted to have the results be, boys and girls separate. So there is a setting to say I want to separate this scored event by gender, and it builds out automatically boys and girls sections within the default reports you create. And you only have to publish that report once, and it automatically generates result sets for the boys and the girls separately. Really slick. We added support for sending cross-country results to TFRS. Kind of talked about this before. If you know you need it, you know what it is. In addition, we added the NCAA tiebreaker rules. This is a pretty cool tiebreaker rule. Didn't exist when I ran in college, but it's also known as head-to-head tiebreaker. The rule is designed to compare finishers between teams that tie in the sequence in which they finish in the team. For example, if 2 or more teams tie, the finish positions of finishers 1, 2, and 3, etc. on a team are compared. The team with the most wins, finisher to finisher, is the winner of the tie. So it's pretty cool. Like, it's head-to-head. The first finisher of each team, they compare the times, and whoever wins gets a point. So it's really cool. Also, it doesn't have to be used for cross country. We enable this to be used for any kind of team scoring, well, any kind of aggregate team scoring. So if you wanted to enable it for a corporate team, I think it's a fun way to do a tiebreaker. If they happen, it's exciting. If they don't happen, then you don't get to see the fun, but that's okay. Next, we added the allow under minimum to display setting. So standard cross-country scoring calls for finishers on teams with fewer than the minimum, usually 5, should not be included in the displacement when determining the finish position. When the setting is used, the component of cross-country scoring will be ignored, and finishers on teams with fewer than the minimum will be included for displacement. So just a slight variation on the defaults there. We also added the ghosted runners field. You should use this if you want to fill up teams with less than finishers than the minimum needed to score with runners having the same time as the last finisher of the division or gender. So this is, if you want to basically make sure that there aren't incomplete teams, you could ghost the runners, and it will add in finishers at the same time as the last run of each team in order to complete them, but they will still be at the bottom of the list. We added a year field for events set up for cross country. So you'll notice if you're like adding participants or and you're in a cross country event, you'll see that there's a year field. So you can import to this year field, and you could do the grade or the college year. Can be numbers or letters. You could do JR, SR, whatever you want, 10, 11, 12. So this is a big thing for us. It's a requirement in order to send results to TFRS. we also decided to include it in our default cross-country results reports because it's nice to see that data in a cross-country result. So when you go into the team scoring setup for a scored event, you'll see all these new options when you select aggregate. If you hover over these little green underlines, it'll tell you more details about the setting. And because some of these are a little complicated, but yeah, we try to make it as clear as possible for you as you're setting this up. Now what this does is it says for this scored event, there may be multiple different team types. There may be, 4A, 5A, 6A, small school, large school, whatever you want for cross country, or, if it's a corporate cup, it could be, small companies, large companies. You could have multiple different team types associated with this. When you set this up and save it, what it does is it says, okay, all of these scoring rules are going to get applied to those team types. Or I can say I only want to apply to those that don't have any scoring rules set up when you do this. So it's just good to understand that these settings on the scored event are saying, hey, these are the defaults, and I'm going to send them over to each of the team types as long as you say that's what I want to do. So we got all sorts of different things you can do here like we had talked about before. But yeah, whole lot of flexibility in this area, and we feel it's a really nice feature set for our first version of cross-country. Moving on, we've added the ability to set up team types in the participant import process. So if you're pulling from a simple spreadsheet without any team types set up on RunSignup, or if you didn't set them up manually, we now give you the ability to set this all up on the fly as you're importing your spreadsheet of entries. You just have to provide the team types in the spreadsheet, and it will just say, hey, I'm going to set up these defaults, and we give you some simple things you have to go through to decide, like, what's the team type name, what's the scoring type, is it aggregate or relay, and so on. So we try to make it as easy as possible to start with a simple spreadsheet of data and have everything you need there to get started. We've added the ability to view team types for all scored events. When you're on the team classifications page, you can now view all the different team types instead of having to select which scored event to filter by. It was just a point of confusion. I had a couple of support cases where people were like, hey, why don't I see any team types in here? And it was just because the very first scored event in the list didn't have any, but they were all in the other ones. And other lists in our system have like an all scored events or all team types view. This one did not. We have added some quick links in between the team list and the team type list. So the team list is found under the participants tab, and then there's the team toggle at the top. And we added in a quick link between the team classifications list and the teams list. So if you want to bounce between the team list and the team classifications list, if you need to make changes really quickly, this is the best way to do it. We just added this right in the header here. You can now just really easily toggle between those two, because we found it was really difficult to get back and forth between each of these settings. You'd have to bounce between the participants tab, click the teams, and then go down to the age groups team classifications tab and click the header there. So just trying to make this as simple as possible to move around. Here you can see I'm on the team list, and I'm gonna go over the team list and click over into team classifications list. And some more smaller features, not really related to teams. We did introduce them with this update. We've added in some except reads until or and after details to the timing locations panels in the dashboard. So find that a lot of times we'll get issues that come up because, especially a newer timer, will forget to set a timing location filter. Specifically, if they forget to set their start timing location filter, it really causes a mess, because we're going to keep collecting start reads until the end of time, and they'll never have finish reads processed. So we now say on here, hey, you're accepting reads until 9 a.m. on this date, and then you're starting to collect reads at 12 a.m. on that date, and so on and so forth. And if you had a common start finish, it would say you're accepting reads until this date and then starting at that time. And if you haven't set anything up at all, it'll tell you, it'll say, hey, you haven't set up any time filters yet. So make sure to fix that. This is another cool one we added, the ability to automatically update participant info based on raw read data. So we've had this system called data actions, which allows you to make changes on parts of information based on other areas, but it's been kind of stagnant and we haven't improved it or added things to it in quite a while. we're going to be adding some more features and cleanup around this area in the future, short term. So look for more updates. But for this version, we wanted to make sure we had the ability to at least automatically distribute participants into events based on their raw reads. So you can now say that on this stream, so the start, let's say a finish stream, the really good use case is for cross country where you got nobody knows what event they're going to be running in at the beginning of the day. The coaches at the very last minute declare what event their runners are going to be in because they don't know who's going to be JV or varsity until they actually go off on the line sometimes. So you can set up time ranges and say between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. I know everybody is in the boys 9 a.m. start, and I know between 10:01 and 11 everyone will be in the girls JV, and so on and so forth. So it automatically will flip the events of the participants who have a read on the specified stream over the given time period. And it's really cool. We also see good use cases for this on things like a check mat. You could say, I want to have a check mat out on the half or the full marathon course, and anybody who is a half marathon and crosses that time flip to the marathon, because I know that if they're out there, they should be in the marathon, not the half. So there's some cool other improvements we're going to be adding to this in the future, but there's some nice things in there. You also can do things like automatically change the corral assignment of someone based on a given raw read range. So you could do things like starts for triathlons where everybody who gets a read at my at the beach entry location between X and Y time, put them into corral 1, and then set up another time range and say everybody between this time and that time, they get put into corral 2. And then you can set your wave times in those corrals so you know that everybody who's in corral 1, they started in that group who went through the gates between this time and that time. So a whole lot of cool things that you can do with this area. So you can see here, I've got a couple data actions set up to automatically set the event to college women, automatically set the event to college men. And it looks something like this. I have these raw read filters that say between this time and that time, I need to change the participant data event to college women. And I'd have a similar one under the men's one. And I did not write out each and every single bug fixed and every single improvement made because there were probably hundreds. This was a massive update, and we just did a ton of work solidifying this software. And behind the scenes, we actually did a whole lot more. So Roger Bradshaw is on the line, and he put together a whole bunch of testing scenarios for us. That we have about 15 of these scenarios that we have put in our system that automatically run. We load in the race setup. We make sure that all the participants are there. We actually go and pull the reads in using the connector, and we verify line by line that all the reports look as they should. And we make sure that all of the read counts look as they should. And so we have this new automated testing platform that Roger has helped build out, along with our developers, and it's been amazing. It's allowed us to find and fix a whole lot of issues that were out there for a very long time. And so we are always, before every single build we do, running these automated test scenarios now and making sure that each and every single report looks like how it should and it checks out, all the times are accurate. And we have all these different scenarios. We have triathlons, we've got cross country, we've got 5K, 10K standard stuff, but it's been really, really nice, and just wanted to let you guys know that we're doing a ton to make sure that this is a stable product. So that is the update for V3, all the features we added. Again, I'm super excited to just tell you all about all these new features, and I want to go and dive in and show you each and every single one in detail. We don't have the time for that today, but so gonna continue on with our little presentation here. We are going to be wrapping up in just a little bit, but I got a few more slides to go through. So we've done this huge update for teams. What's still out there on the horizon? We still have a lot that we want to do. The goal of this product is to replace Race Director eventually, and we want to get there and say by the end of the year that we have everything we need to make it, have all the features that Race Director has. So some of the things that we're doing that aren't necessarily related to adding features that Race Director has that we don't have are things that are actually improving the software in ways that Race Director could never do. So this big thing we're doing right now is a reporting update that also we have intertwined with it some massive performance updates. So we're working on some big changes to reporting, specifically giving the ability for reports to be sorted on any kind of field that they like. So gives us the ability to generate all sorts of useful reports, like alphabetically sorted registration list, age grade results reported by that are sorted by the age grade percentage instead of total time, and more. So this is a big thing in RaceDay scoring that's not possible right now. We can only really sort reports that are automatically being updated in real time and everything like that based on chip time or clock time. So it's one of the things that we know that you need to build out new reports for. It does require us to do some major changes to how we generate reports on the fly, but it is something that we're doing. So this is next up on our list. Another thing we're doing at the same time is this concept of backup to the cloud and race stats. Big priority of ours, and it'll give timers two main advantages. Backup to the cloud will start automatically keeping a log of saved timing configurations created for your events that you are scoring online. So if you have a multi-person team and you'll be able to see like, oh, Matt Avery did a build of this race at this date and time, and you can like say mark it as one that you want to use for scoring, and it will go up to your timer dashboard on RunSignup, and you'll be able to see a list of these different versions of this race file that have been built by your team members. And you'll be able to say, when I go into RaceDay scoring, instead of having to import a file, like a zip file like we've done in the past, you could now say, hey, import this race from RunSignup, and it will say, hey, you've got 5 different versions of this. Which one would you want to choose? The one that Matt Avery built or the one that James Harris built? You probably want the one that James Harris built, not me. And second, race stats will now begin to show on the timer dashboard. So under the hood, what we started doing over the past few months is we started seeing how many finishers are coming out of the system for each of the timers out there. And we're starting to try and make sure that the counts and summaries of this data are all accurate. So we're trying to verify that we got all of the timers hooked up to the right serial numbers and the different members of the timing organizations assigned to the right timer account and everything like that. And so we're working towards this idea that we will be able to show on the timer dashboard, here's your races that are happening today. And so far, race A has 20 starts, 0 finishers. Race B has 500 starts and 450 finishers, and so on and so forth. You'll probably start pretty simple with that and then add on as we go. Maybe you'll see things like, how many reads you've got and so on and so forth. But to start, we're just trying to get the number of finishers you got, number of registrants you got, number of team finishers you got, things like that. So this will allow you on the back end to say, I'm gonna just post up on my porch, load my timer dashboard up and see how my timers are doing in the field. I can see that things are happening. I've got starts coming in, they're updating in real time. And it'll give you a peace of mind that things are going smoothly for your timers on site. So that's our vision for race stats. Next big thing is lap races. This is one that we can't support right now. Lap races are like duration or time-based races. So, your 6-hour mountain bike marathon, your 24-hour relay, where it's not saying everybody's going to do a 5K and sort them based on the fastest finish time. It's saying who did the most distance instead of just the fastest time. It's like who did the most distance in the shortest time. So right now we don't have a way to do this. It's one thing that you have to use Race Director for, just because we can't do that sorting that we talked about before on things other than total finish time. So we're going to be implementing this with a way to say that I want to say this is a 6-hour relay scored event or a 12-hour individual scored event, and then you designate a location that is going to be used as a lap point that will say I'm going to allow any number of reads here, and each lap will be a set distance. And we would give you a way to say, hey, if the lap is done this way, it's a short lap and it's this distance. If you had a read at a different location during the lap, then it would be a long lap maybe. So we have some ideas on that. Roger's done really great work with lap races in the past, so we have a good starting point there on what we need for requirements. So this is something that we're looking at for around August is what we want. So July, you should start to see things come out for that. That's what I'm hoping. And I already talked about back to the cloud and more. We're doing a ton, like I said, with large race performance improvements. We've got a plan change made that will help a lot with races that have a lot of reads or events or participants. Better options for announcer feeds. We have some ways of doing announcers, but they're not the best. We know this, and we're trying to see if there's a way we can do a more direct feed of basic data that comes in from a stream without processing results and all that. Right now, it's a little slow because we have to do all this data processing in real time. So we're looking at a way to do more of a direct feed, along with all these other features that people like to see. They like to see the messages for birthdays. They like to see their title name. They like to see all sorts of different features on the announcers. So we have great ideas and feedback on this already. Something we definitely plan on doing. Another area is data check reports, things like, hey, I want to see a report of just everybody who missed the start but got a finish, who got a finish, missed the start, who got a split here but missed the finish, so on and so forth. We have a ton of examples of different scenarios for this that we're going to be implementing. Improved raw read management. We have a lot of feature requests around improving the raw reads area, allowing you to select reads to use and ignore, just that management of, you got a missed read, you need to insert it, and it's a little bit difficult sometimes right now. So going to be making some changes there to make that easier, making the search more easy to use, all sorts of things. And things like copying race configurations. Right now, you can't really copy a race very easily. So we have some ideas on trying to do that as well. And more, there's like a ton of things that we want to do with race day scoring, and I appreciate your patience. I work with a lot of you on this stuff, and I always follow up with you when we do get something that you've requested, because that's my favorite thing to do is email everybody who said, hey, you asked for this thing, and we implemented it. Here you go. So if you guys do ever have feature requests or questions or anything like that, always feel free to reach out. Not much time left, going over on time a bit, sorry, but upcoming webinars. So like I said, we do have 2 webinars on specific details on setting up and how to with general team scoring on V3 and cross-country scoring with V3, June 8th at 12 and June 15th at 12. So those will be the Timer Tip Tuesdays. We're going to be spending about an hour, I think, on these. Roger Bradshaw is going to help out a little bit with the cross-country one, show off some of his races that he has set up for our testing purposes, and we'll be going through some of the key features of each of these areas. If you go to resources.runsignup.com/webinar-calendar, you can find more info on them and sign up for them there. How can I learn more about race day scoring? We do have a help page. We try to keep up to date on it. We don't have all of the guides built out for teams quite yet, but we'll be working on that in preparation for those how-tos coming up in June. So we'll have more fleshed out areas for teams there, but you can find a lot of good info, and you can also contact our support team here. But best thing you can do is just reach out when you're in the app, use the Get Help question mark in the top right. It sends us a race file. We can actually see at the time that you clicked Get Help and sent that in what your race configuration was. So if you're working through something and you're trying to set up a race and you're not sure how to do it or the best way to do it, do this, send it in. We'll be able to see what you're working on and be able to help you out. We're really fast with our support. I think we are, and I think we do a really good job of it. I pride ourselves in having a great support team. Roger, Kevin, Y, Chris, and myself are a part of it, and yeah, definitely do this. It helps us get a vision into what's going on in your race. If you do want a demo sit-down session, Chris McDonald is our training expert. So he can give you advice on best practices, or if you're just trying to get started and don't know where to really start, He's really good at doing that. He does have a Calendly link here, calendly.com /RSU RaceDay tools. And what we just ask is that if you do schedule a time, make sure to have some background knowledge on what you're trying to do. If you have a specific type of event that you wanted to rescore, that's super helpful, so we can use your time well and efficiently. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up. We have to get off at 12:45 today. We have another webinar starting on the other side of the house at 1. So if you do have any questions, feel free to contact us, raceday@runsignup.com, or any of the above methods. And are there any big questions that we need to raise up to the crowd before we sign off?
No, you definitely covered the Help Center. Again, the Help Center has those different categories out there, and Avery will be working on content as he's preparing all this great detailed webinars that'll come later. So be looking for that team scoring section out there. That was one area. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. You nailed it.
All right, thanks everyone for coming. Again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, you have advice on what we're doing right or what we're doing wrong. More than happy to take that feedback. We love hearing from y'all. Hope you guys have a good day and the rest of your season goes well. Take care.